What is up, everybody? We're rolling audio here today on episode 86 of The Harder Show. What's going on? I hope you're doing absolutely fan-freaking-tastic. Thank you so much for tuning in, clicking that play button on part 2 of my conversation with Michael from Forsaken Empire. It's a great conversation. We focus more on the band stuff this time around, more about his first band, These Suits Are Made for Walking, and of course his current band, Forsaken Empire, kind of how those bands got together, kind of what he learned from each experience with the band, talks about each band member and that kind of thing, mostly focusing on Forsaken Empire, as that is the band he's currently in. If you are a new listener to the podcast and you're checking this out for Michael's episode, thank you so much for clicking the play button. Be sure to check out all the other episodes of The Harder Show. Got some awesome interviews with a lot of other local talent, such as my boys from Beyond the Wall, Brandon Hastings from Outshine, and the Outshine guys as well. So many other guys. Some of my lead guys have been on, and there's so many more guys that I want to have on as well. Lee from We Are X, I want to have him on. I need to have the ex-WAB guys on, Death by Carl guys, and whatever other projects they're currently doing. So there's a lot of local bands I want to have on. I can't even think of all of them right now, but if you are a fan of these local band chats and that kind of thing, and the supporting of the local music scene, then be sure to keep it locked to The Harder Show, because I like to do whatever I can to help spread the word, because I can't always go out to shows. So I guess in my own way, I feel sometimes talking about it can help kind of just spread awareness at least a little bit for some of these awesome local bands, including, of course, Forsaken Empire, of which Michael is a part of. And aside from talking about band stuff, we also talk a little bit about gear, and a little more about guitar playing, and more about the Forsaken Potato, which is a prototype amplifier that me and Michael are working on, that hopefully we will be able to make happen one day, maybe make that into a reality. It's a good, fun episode, definitely lots of laughs. In the beginning, we talk about the Forsaken Potato, and if you have no idea what that is, you should probably go back and listen to episode 1, because if you don't know the joke, you're not going to understand it, and you're going to be like, what is happening right now? What is my life? But very excited for this episode today, guys. Really hope you enjoy it. I had a awesome time last night at the WWE Live Peterborough event that myself, the producer Brandon Babin, the Kevin Dunn of The Harder Show, and Mr. Ryan Wood, the heel Ryan Wood, the three of us drove up to it. Had a bit of a interesting drive home in the weather, but that was still good. If you guys saw the video, we were very hyped for the event. We actually recorded a little bit of audio as well, so I might see how well it turned out once I put it into once I put it on the computer, see if it's even worth putting up. But we may have gotten to kind of an interesting podcast, driving, talking about wrestling and other kind of fun stuff, and some other events from the evening. But also, I have a big week here. I finally have my t-shirts, my second batch of t-shirts in my hands. I'm currently actually looking at the box. So if you did order a t-shirt in the pre-order, I will be hitting you up with that very, very soon. If you happen to miss one, if you happen to miss the pre-order and you want one, I should say, be sure to hit me up, because I do have a couple extras. I have one medium left over, I have one XL left over, and I have one large left over. They are $25 a piece, with all of the money going directly back into the podcast, just helping to pay for a bunch of stuff coming up, new gear, all that kind of fun stuff. If that does interest you, be sure to hit me up. This will be the last time I do t-shirts for probably a while, just because of not related to me in particular, just I feel like that's going to be it for the t-shirts for a little while. Maybe the next t-shirt will be something special. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But either way, if you guys did order a t-shirt, I'll be hitting you up with information on how we can kind of meet up, or I can deliver it to you, or that kind of thing. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, if you want one, be sure to hit a brother up. You can hit me up on the social medias, or as well as on the email. If you don't have them, just search for The Harder Show on any social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, which are the 3 main ones that I use anyway. And you can hit me up on my email, thehardershow, all one word, @gmail.com. And hell, even if you want to send me a Snapchat, you can at Terrence James, TRANCE, James, JAMES. But with all that fun stuff out of the side, I want to roll into this podcast here with Michael. Let's get into it. Alright, so we're back in the kitchen with Michael from Forsaken Empire. Thanks for having my kitchen for a few days while we tested these prototypes out for the potato amps.
I'm honestly hugely impressed so far with our current results on these potato amps.
We might do a video.
What do you mean might? We are.
We're going to do a video at some point comparing the Forsaken Potato, which is the name of this amplifier, to a Line 6 or something possibly. If you don't know what we're talking about, you should listen to part 1. But we're hanging out with Michael again. We have so much left to discuss.
Mostly about potatoes.
But we're probably just going to be making jokes about potatoes
this entire episode.
This is going to be like Michael part 2 / potato.
If you don't like potatoes, this is not an episode for you.
If you're not a fan of potatoes, then you should probably just turn this podcast off right now. God.
Or if you are for potato abuse, in which case there may be some of that.
We're probably going to have to go buy a bag of potatoes
and start stabbing them with patch cords.
Till we figure this out. The Forsaken Potato. Now, do we paint the potato?
No, we need that raw sound.
We need that raw sound from the potato, so it needs to be...
the raw, uncooked sound, the crispy, baked sound, or the muddy... mashed sound,
which gives you that more like muddy, fuzzy, fuzz tone. You know,
the Black Keys tone, right?
Yeah. You want to sound the Black Keys? You get the mashed version. Oh. And French fries can be like just like I don't know,
just dubstep.
Yeah, dubstep. I think this joke is dead. So anyway,
for the next 3 minutes.
The next 3 minutes, this joke is dead. So it's funny, kind of getting serious for a second. Like I've kind of had this unique perspective. Of kind of like watching you kind of progress in your musical journey and getting into different bands and writing music and all this kind of thing. But what was kind of like your first hey, like I want to start a band. Let's actually do this for serious. And like when did you kind of start looking for like guys to play with, and what was kind of your end goal for that whole thing? Well,
the first band that I was in was, of course, These Suits were made for walking. The classic, rest in peace, These Suits. We were just 4 guitar players from school, and we met in grade 9, just in like the student success room or something like that. And there was this school choir that we all played guitar in. So there was like 6 guitars in this choir. It was like absolutely stupid, like as many guitarists as there were vocalists, and they were terrible. We called them the Cats in the Drawer Choir, but I mean anyway, moving on from that. Yeah, we didn't really play in the choir for the actual like music side of it. We just kind of played it because we got to play with each other at that point. Yeah. And so after we played for a while, we were kind of like, we're pretty good at this. We should, let's actually make a band. And because after playing in the choir, we got our own like little solos every once in a while. The 4 of us would play. And people started getting hugely interested in us, and they're like, "Oh, what's your band name?" We're like, "What band name?"
We're not a band.
we're not a band. We're just a guitar quartet. We are the potatoes. These potatoes are made for walking.
These potatoes are made for cooking.
Ooh. But yeah. So we eventually decided to sort of make a band, and that progressed into. We all sort of were beginner guitarists at the time, and we've all progressed into multi-instrumentalists. Mm-hmm. Like Emilio, as you know, is just stupid good at everything.
Yeah, I still have a hard time with that because I when I first met him, he was Lalo.
Yep, yeah.
And that was his name. And then it was kind of like, I call him Emilio now. Yeah. And I'm like, so now when I haven't seen him in a while, but like that's shout out to Emilio.
Yeah, he's at U of T now, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Just owning. Probably like one of the best guitar players as far as like classical guitar players are concerned.
He was rated like 2nd or 3rd in Ontario or something like that. I don't remember what it was. But anyway, where's I going with that? Yeah, Emilio obviously plays like literally any instrument on the planet. You give him about 30 minutes and he'll be better than most people at it. Honestly, he's ridiculous. Wyatt, the ultimate white supremacist. that's a bit of an inside joke, so Wyatt, if you're listening, you'll probably be dying on that one. And just to give you an idea of Wyatt's personality, this is the one thing that has kind of stuck with me from him from our entire high school career was this quote. One day I woke up looking for a pair of socks in my sock drawer, but instead I found myself. That is.
One day I woke up looking for a pair of socks in my sock drawer. What I found was myself. The story of the epic journey of one man trying to find himself
and his potato
and his potato sidekick. I'm just trying to find a pair of socks. Now, what are you really looking for? Starring Scarlett Johansson.
But yeah,
I just made a movie trailer.
Anyway, anything with strings on it, that guy can play. I'm just trying to. I'm trying to get back into this, but it's just not happening.
We're making too many jokes. Okay. All serious here on the Hot Show now. We're all broadcast journalists here. So Wyatt,
yeah.
Play anything with strings.
Anything with strings you can play. And then there's Diego, who was pretty much guitar and vocals for the most part. And then there's me, who was anything with strings and vocals.
Because that was something I kind of forgot to ask on the last one. Is you don't just play guitar, do you? You kind of
play a lot of things.
Yeah, kind of forgot to mention that last time.
Yeah, anything with strings, saxophone, piano, a little bit of drums. Is pretty extensive list.
But would you say that guitar is kind of your main instrument?
Easily main instrument. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah,
it's good to be able to play a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything is generally helpful. Where was I going with this? There's a point to this whole conversation. There was a point to this.
There's a point to it. It's more just what kind of talking about what kind of drew you four guys together,
yes.
And what was kind of your okay, let's form this band, and how did that kind of come about?
Right. That was just after a couple of playing school assemblies and stuff from with this choir that we played. It was kind of okay, we're good at this. We're enjoying this, and people are liking what we're doing too. So we're okay, let's actually try and maybe do this for real.
Let's actually try and do this for real.
Yeah, and that progressed for 2 years or something like that, and we played a whole lot of cool shows. It was a good time. That was probably the biggest growing period for me as a musician, was those couple of years, just because we did some stuff that I never would have done myself, in the sense that they're playing folk music or something like that. And I was just sitting there
banjo and stuff, and you're just yeah.
Chords.
I play chords. What's up? What's going on?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
I play power chords.
Yeah. Hey. What's up? I do breakdowns.
What's up? I do breakdowns and only breakdowns. I'd be me joining friggin'
just playing Mumford and Sons, but throw a breakdown in the middle of it.
The generic breakdown.
Instead, I don't know if you ever watched this play, but I always used to use the bass drum when I was playing guitar. I don't know if you ever saw us do that, but bringing a double pedal,
just sitting there. I can see you doing that.
I can see myself doing.
You guys play the Mumford. You just sitting there. You guys can't hear me, but I'm going playing the double bass. But you guys played some pretty cool shows in that, and I mean, obviously. Yeah. Everyone kind of brought their own thing to the band. Obviously, like I said, I knew Lalo the best, or Emilio, excuse me, the best.
Yeah.
Obviously, he was just doing it in the store as well. Classical guitarist. I don't even think I ever really met Wyatt, but I know he was a talented cat. I think if I did, it was a couple times.
You met him once or twice when we went into the store for stuff, but that was really about it.
Yeah. But I was as a talented cat, and then obviously Diego, I came to know later on. I still see him once in a while. Shout out to Diego for helping me pick out a polo shirt. Yeah, I was at friggin' Mark's Warehouse, and I ran into him at Home Depot with my girlfriend, and we were shooting the breeze, and we're there, and she's like, I think that guy you were talking to works here. And I was like, are you serious? I was all excited because I'm yo, you need to help me pick up a polo shirt.
He totally does work there.
And he's like, oh, you go with this one because that one is. So anyway, shout out to Diego. But where did kind of that name come from? Because I know there's a bit of a story behind it.
There is a bit of a story behind it. And actually, I know in part one, if you weren't listening, we were talking about the Snug, the venue.
Yes.
I think that was in part one. That was in part one?
Yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was in part one.
We've only done one other one, so I hope it was that.
That's true. It was either earlier.
There's been that other podcast.
Yeah, you know that other one.
The talk is... I don't know.
I was where are you going with this?
Talk is harder. I was trying to think if I know anyone who has a podcast. I'm like, wait, I don't. Oh, shit. All right.
Oh, man. Where was I going with this? Oh, yeah, the name. So we were playing at the Snug for our very first show, ever. And we're all sitting there, and, we were just expecting to just, go on, do our thing, and leave, pretty much. And like to show kind of how ghetto the show was, I had to bring my own PA system to this venue for other people to use.
Yeah, like, I mean that was the snug as
it's a tiny little bar. Yeah. Awesome
place, but just it's not really. Yeah. There's like no stage or anything. You're just kind of like hanging out near the bar.
Yeah, it was great. But yeah, and so there was a guy who was very, I think, sort of still is in the music industry, Jacob Van Haverbeck.
Yeah.
And he was there too. He was sort of hosting this whole thing. Mm-hmm. And so we were like, I don't know, maybe an hour before the show or something like that. And he comes up and he says, "Oh, so what's your name so I can announce you guys?" Like, we just listed off our 4 names. They're like, "No, I can't do that." I was like, "What do you mean you can't do that?" Everyone, like
Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
Exactly.
Sir.
It's like, hello.
Come on now.
And so he's just like, No, I'm not going to let you guys do that. You know, if you're going to be a thing, you're going to be a thing. So I was like, okay. We're just sitting there for probably half an hour, and we couldn't figure anything out. And then the owner of the Snug comes up, and he's like, "These suits are made for walking." Like, what?
You guys were all wearing suits.
We were all wearing suits.
Oh,
at this
the suits
show.
are made for walking, laddie.
And we're like, it's got a ring to it. Let's do it.
The suits are made for
We weren't
walking.
even intending on sticking with it either, but then we'd made a Facebook page and stuff after that show, and people started. We got like 100 in like 3 days or something like that.
And people were like looking for you.
People were looking for us, and then we're just sitting there. It was like, okay, we want to change it, but we can't.
now it's like you're gimmick. You're just like, oh,
yeah.
Okay,
so we just kind of kept it as that, and that was our gimmick after that.
It's just what happens.
What happens, and it stays that way.
Oh boy! But did you have a kind of a favorite show that you played with those guys?
Oh, I'd say there's I can think of 2, actually maybe 3. I'm gonna say 3, and they all have their different reasons. One of them was the Christmas parades. I think it was the Newcastle one. I think was the best one. When we played, there's all the TV crews here and stuff like that, and we were rolling on our float playing guitar and singing on a float with a wireless microphone, just running around in the snow.
Yes,
it was the coolest thing I've ever done. It was fucking cold, but like honestly, you will never know the struggle of playing guitar until you've played in like -7-degree weather without gloves on, and it's like raining. It was like slushing. It was the grossest thing I've ever done, but it was amazing, and that was just so much fun. The second one I can think of was when we were playing with the choir. We were playing at a chapel. It was like this huge cathedral almost. Like, I don't even know why we were there. Like, we should not have been there, but we were there and playing for some mass thing at this huge, huge cathedral. Just the coolest sound ever. And everyone there, everyone loved us. Like, we played Canon in D, I think was the one really popular song that we played. And it was just like a huge, huge hit with everyone, and it sounded incredible, like probably the coolest venue I've ever played at. And the last one was our very, very last show that we played. We hadn't been a band for probably 2 years. Like, practice had not played. We decided to cut it off and break up. But we played one last show for our graduation.
That's right, you guys did play it.
It would have been just over half a year ago now. It would have been last June. And it got insane reactions from everyone, and everyone had a huge throwback. And it was we played one song. It was probably the best song that we've ever done, in the sense that we practiced it twice, which is just us style. Like, we practiced the whole set once beforehand. All right, we're good.
You all practice it by yourselves and it's came together.
That's exactly what we did.
What was the song?
I couldn't tell you the name of it. I could not tell you the name.
It was the best moment of my life, but I can't tell you the name of the song.
Well, I mean, it was like a folk song, so I just kind of learned it.
Who cares then? Folk is not a real genre.
But
shots fired at folk music from the Harder Show.
Oh man, no, it was good.
I'm just kidding. Stop this train. I love you. I love you guys.
Do we though?
Do I really? I love you guys. I'm just. Shh. No, but seriously.
But yeah, no, that was really, really cool. And just awesome atmosphere of that show. You can't really call it a show, but of playing that song in front of the people you've been with for the last 4 years. And
the Beatles had the rooftop show, and the Suits Are Made for Walking had the graduation.
Had a gym show.
There you go.
Same thing.
Do you remember the time you guys played at McDonald's?
Oh my, we did that twice. Yes. We did that twice.
I think it was the first time you guys did.
We made so much money doing that. It was unbelievable. I don't know if I ever told you that sort of figure afterwards.
I don't think so.
Okay, so I'm sure everyone's heard of McHappy Day before.
Yeah.
It's like a certain amount of proceeds of every meal gets sent to the Ronald McDonald House thing. But yeah, so before I actually worked there, I work there now. But before I actually worked there, we used to play on the front porch area of our local McDonald's.
The Bowenville McDonald's, one that's open 24 hours, which is wicked.
It's the worst.
It's the worst.
We used to, but yeah, we'd play there and raise money on McHappy Day, and we'd play for like 7 hours straight or something like that. It was stupid. Like I literally couldn't talk for the next like week afterwards. But we did this, and the first year we did this, our store set a record for revenue. Because of it, well, not necessarily because of us, but
because of me,
a mixture.
Just me.
Our band alone, through I think it was 3 hours, we made over like $600 from just tips and a guitar case, which was unbelievably cool.
Crap.
Which was nuts. And we did a similar but not as good. I don't want to say not as good a job, but we didn't make quite as much the second year, but.
But that's,
less of a turnout.
Whatever. Yeah, it's less of a turnout or whatever. Depends on the day. It may have been a slight overcast that day or something, keep people out. Do you recall the reason I brought this up? Do you remember me coming through the drive-thru?
And like throwing money at us from the drive-thru?
I threw money at you guys, trying to hit it in the guitar case. I thought I threw it as gently as possible.
And just careening over
and
top.
And it smashed, I think it was Diego.
That sounds
hit him
right.
Like in the face, and he just kind of like because he was singing,
like,
he was like bam, he was like he just kept going,
I don't think we realized you were there until you started like throwing money at us.
I threw money at you.
Just like, are we pimps or something now? Like, what's
why
the
is this guy throw? And I think it was someone's mother was there, and like she kind of like did a quick take like to like probably yell at me, and then she realized it was me, and she was like, "Oh, yeah." She was like, "Oh," and she knew it. She was like, "Oh." I was like, "Oh my god, I just hit Diego like in the face with money." We did the Diego why I don't know, but I thought that was funny.
It was the best. It was hilarious.
Good times.
Not many bands get the chance to play a show at McDonald's. I can be one of those people who can say that.
10 years from now when you're doing an interview with like Guitar World and they're like, yo, so like what was like one of your favorite shows you ever played?
I played a show at McDonald's.
I played for McHappy Day once. It was probably the coolest thing I've ever done.
It started like a mosh pit and drive-thru.
It was great.
It was a wall of death with no speakers.
I want to see everybody from this side to that side kill each other. Get McHappy up in this bitch. I don't know why.
I'd be a huge fan.
Yeah, when someone says drive-through, when someone says break down, I don't know why I always think of China syllable.
Drive-through.
That's going to be a new metal thing, drive-through. But anyway, so kind of continue on here. When you guys kind of all went your separate ways or whatever, did you kind of still have the immediate, it's like, I need to keep playing. I need to play again. I need to form another band.
100%.
Hundo P.
It's back.
We only say Hundo P here on the Harder Show.
Oh, folks. I think I've found our joke actually. Hundo Potato.
Oh my god. It's Hundo Potato.
Hundo Potato.
Hundo
Potato. That's got a nice ring to it actually. Hundo Potato.
That's the name of our new band.
Oh man.
That's the name of our extreme death metal duo.
But how would you symphonic power metal.
Symphonic power metal. Symphonic power grunge metal.
Symphonic power gargoyle metal.
There you go.
Oh man. Where was I? What was going on?
Who cares? Potatoes. But anyone who isn't like a regular listener of the show or who knows you, they're going to be like, what is going on? Why are they talking about potatoes? Oh, they probably already tuned out. They're like, why are these guys making jokes about potatoes? I don't know, whatever.
What was I saying?
But I was asking about like kind of the itch to keep playing.
Yeah, so there was before, actually no, I think it was right when I started these suits. I was talking to Derek. The drummer who did not go to my school. I had never met the guy in my life, but we'd somehow gotten contact over social media, and we started talking like, oh yeah, we should get together and jam a little bit sometime, and just never happened. It was kind of difficult. I mean, not us both not having cars at the time, and this and this because it was a bit of a hike, but we'd kind of lost track of each other and never talked again. Suit started up. I didn't really care.
Yeah.
And then it eventually...
You were moving on to better things.
Pretty much. But yeah, then that eventually changed. And so once that stopped, I was kind of like, I want to get into do some music that I enjoy. I want to play in front of crowds that are going to be, as opposed to sitting down watching,
Yeah, absolutely.
actually moving and singing and doing this and this and this and the kind of stuff that I enjoy.
Get up and kill somebody.
Pretty much.
The normal stuff.
I
want to see you kill somebody.
I want to see like blood just everywhere.
I want to see blood on this next song.
Yeah, that idea. But pretty much where that came from, I messaged the guy like probably about a year ago now, and I was just like, hey, so you remember me? It's like, you remember my existence? Bro? It's like, oh yeah, I remember you. And so we're talking. It's like, you remember that? Oh God, not that reference.
I remember Star Wars. I remember. We are big fans of this season of South Park here on the Harder Show.
Oh God. Anyway, so we eventually decided, we're gonna start a band. And so I was friends with Chase from school, and he started bass just before we started playing this band.
Yeah, he's been playing very long, hasn't he? But he's come a long way quick.
He's one of the best players, English. One of the best bass players I know right now. And he's got a stupid sense for writing music. Like, he's really, really good at writing bass lines, which is really funny, seeing as he's barely played.
Some people just have a natural... Like, my buddy was a tuba player.
Yeah.
And he was a guitar player, like a great guitar player.
Yeah.
And the way he would write, like, solos and stuff was almost like... Just, like...
It's nuts.
Leads and stuff. But, like, when he would pick up a bass, because he was so used to basically being, like, a backup instrument type thing... That he would write these, he would write these bass lines, and I'm just like, oh my God, that's awesome.
That's sick. But yeah, no, Chase is sort of the same idea. He, once we started playing with him, he'd played for probably 2 months at that point.
Oh wow!
Once we had our first practice, and this guy just, you can teach him something. Like, this is the part that always just astonishes me. Like, we'll play. I think the first song that we played was "When I Come Around." I'm pretty sure was the first song that we played, and so. At first, I didn't show him the actual bass line because I didn't actually know the real bass line, but I showed him, the whole root note thing and how he can add some little variation.
The only thing you need to play bass, really.
Probably 5 minutes, he had the whole thing down.
Wow.
I was just like, 1, you don't know this song. 2, you've barely started learning bass, and 3, you've just nailed this in like 5 minutes. What's going on here? Like, how do you do this?
Just naturally.
I just didn't understand. I didn't get it. And I knew Evan from work, and I knew he played guitar, and we had the same music taste, so we had naturally been talking. And so these 3 didn't know each other by any means. So the first band practice was hilarious. Like, it was
just like, so.
I was just kind of sitting there, so I was like, guys, everybody. And so, but everything clicked instantly. Like, that was one of the coolest moments for me, was jumping into that first practice, and we all had learned some songs beforehand, and we're like, okay, we can. We'll just play this. All right.
Let's play the song 6 times, and then we'll play
probably the first song that we played, like legitimately went for and played it, first try. Like, it was, it was nuts. It was cool though.
So kind of talk about the band and you guys forming and that kind of thing. And the different members. And just give me kind of a quick rundown on exactly who everyone is, what they do, and kind of what you think they kind of bring to the table. Even though, because I was going to ask you, how did you choose band members? I guess it was just kind of you worked with personalities first and then go from there.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So I always recommend to do.
Yeah. So Evan Pettigrew is our lead guitarist currently, and a second vocalist. Normally does screams, which you guys haven't seen yet, but it's coming in the new stuff. It's coming. It's coming.
It's going to be great. It's like potato ramp. It's going to be awesome.
Winter is coming. But yeah, he's a stupid energy, crazy, nuts, bouncing off walls.
Yeah.
Oh, it's kind of scary. But on stage, he's hilarious. Just bounces everywhere, smiling a little too much.
Just look brooding and deep.
It's really funny because we're playing a breakdown. He's just smiling his head off. It's honestly the funniest thing. But yeah, he just brings energy, a lot of jokes everywhere. That keeps things pretty light, which is helpful.
Which is good.
Especially since he's sort of the only one who's like that. It doesn't get out of hand, which is good. Because in my other band, that was kind of a bit of an issue because all of us kind of joked around a lot. So that caused some issues. Derek is pretty chill back. He's the drummer, which is kind of stereotypical for a drummer, I suppose. But really,
he's a drummer.
he's a drummer. He just counts to 4. That's our joke, is he counts to 4. He's a metronome. We don't need him. He's just our metronome. No, he's amazing drummer, awesome lyric writer. So he's definitely had a huge impact on that part, and really, really good musically. He's got a good ear for stuff in the sense of for writing, say, a verse or something like that, and something doesn't seem to fit right. It's either going to be me or him who's going to notice that. It's going to be like, oh, that's not quite right.
Yeah.
And Chase, the low end.
The low end bringer of For Forsaken Empire.
Yeah, he's the serious one for sure. He's.
I remember. I think you were like Snapchatting me once or something. I don't remember what it was, but you were like, something like a little video clip of something.
Yeah.
And it was, I think, Derek was like hitting, and like you just pan over to Chase. He just slowly turns and looks, and he's just like.
Yeah, he just turns around, looks at it, and then just turns back to his own stuff.
Oh, we have the resident cats here at the Harder Show Studios. That's Steve, the white one.
Hi, Steve.
And then Simba.
I can't help but notice Steve doesn't have a beard.
Yeah, I should actually have him grow a beard. Steve, you gotta grow a beard, buddy. Where you going? All right,
Come back.
See you later.
It's important chat right here.
It's very important stuff here on the Harder Show, guys. We always have great quality content. Only the best stuff for my
bearded
listeners.
Cats, potatoes.
All three of my listeners.
All three.
Actually, I'm up to 5 now, so we're doing good. We're building the brand.
There is growth over how many
over
episodes?
80 episodes.
Yeah,
I went from 1 listener that was myself to 5, so we're doing good.
All right, so
I figure by 1,000 that I'll be at like maybe 10. I'm hoping
15.
Maybe 15. I'm hoping. Shout out to everybody who's listening. Thank you so much for listening. Seriously, I appreciate it. But that first jam session, you kind of did talk about a little bit, but like in all, now looking back, like how did things go? Like, did you immediately kind of go, okay, you know what, this is going to work? Did you just kind of know, like right off the bat? Sorry, someone just jumped up on the thing here. That's what he does. He interrupts the podcast.
Like jumping on tables.
Yeah. Well, he'd jump on me if he could, but I pulled by Jared. But did you just kind of know, like, okay, this is going to work? Like, this is going to work out?
Honestly, pretty much. Which is not the case for a lot of things. Honestly, sometimes it takes a couple tries. But when I first introduced everyone, we were pretty much at the point we are now in the sense of, like, joking around and being really chilled out about stuff.
Yeah, it just naturally got along.
20 minutes.
That's good.
Like everyone had their names down, and then all of a sudden everyone was just bringing their own personality, and everything worked out pretty well. And especially with the music side too, everything clicked really, really easily.
Which I guess is technically the most important part.
In the sense of that,
if you all click musically but don't get along personally, it's not going to work.
You're going to have some problems.
Especially
you're going to pull a Guns N' Roses, which I mean is not recommended.
Especially when you start like touring and stuff, and like you find out.
Got to actually spend time with people.
I used to always say to kids, like they'd be like, "Oh, we're going to start a band." And I'm like, "Okay, this buddy's sitting here next to you. How long have you known him?" "Oh, like 10 years. He's like my best friend." Cool. You ever tried to sit in a room together with nothing else? Okay, like with nothing but like your phones, no shit. Okay, basically spend a weekend together without showering, without anyone else, in a room, and don't leave that room.
Touring.
And if at the end of that 2 days you want to kill that person and you hate them, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And people are like, "Oh, that's not true. That's not true." And like now it's like, "Nah, guys, like seriously,
yeah,
like
100%.
Try that.
Hundo potato.
Hundo potato." But continuing talking about like Forsaken about that kind of thing, where exactly? Because I kind of know the story of where the name came from and everything, and how you guys chose it and that kind of thing. But I just for all 5 of my listeners, I'm sure they're also curious how. Where it came from, how you chose it, and that kind of thing. Because I'm curious.
I would love to say that we have a specific reasoning behind it, but we don't. We kind of, to be perfectly honest, we spent probably 2 to 3 weeks discussing a name, and it came down to one practice. Well, actually, sorry, the first practice where we kind of decided to come up with a name.
Come up with it, like, hey, let's do this.
Yeah,
this
like, this is working out. We're going to, let's take this to the next step. And we kind of decided we couldn't come up with anything at all that we all liked. So we're like, okay. So we went on one of those band name generators.
Nice. That's always the best option.
Not to see if we could find a good name, but just to see if we could find some words that we were a fan of.
Yeah, yeah.
And I can't remember whether it was Forsaken or Empire. I'm pretty sure it was Forsaken came up, and we were talking about Empire earlier on or something like that. And so it came up in the discussion as sort of, okay, we kind of like this. This is, be a fan of this. And so we kept that in the list. And I mean, actually, this is a bit of an inside joke. It was absolutely hilarious at the time. I don't know if it will be now. But the band name generator came up with probably the greatest name, which is still the group chat name for us till this day on Facebook, which would be Mildew Rump.
Mildew Rump.
Mildew Rump.
Please release like a B-sides album of like metalcore takes or something of you
just
guys.
Like the muddy potato sound. It's just a potato plugged into an amp for like
and
15
just,
minutes.
Like record like a bunch of like 4 Second Empire songs with a potato and just release that. Just
yeah.
like on like just like for free on iTunes or something. Just release that. It's like sound good. SoundCloud like exclusive.
Yeah, that's like the ongoing joke in the band is mildew rump. I can't remember. Actually, we've changed it recently. It's like mildew rump's rumpiest riffage or something like that. I can't. It's
mildew rump's rumpiest.
It's funny. It's really funny, but I can't remember exactly what it is. Funny. But yeah, the name was literally just we were going through like a generator. And we're like, oh, there's some kind of cool words here, you know?
Some cool words. Rump.
Oh god. But yeah, and eventually we just kind of decided on. We narrowed it down to like 3 names or something like that. And we're like, you know what, that we like that one the most. It sounds the best.
And you guys, you did a Facebook post too, didn't you?
I believe so.
You did like 3 names, and you were like, "What one do you guys like the best?" And like which one? 4 Second Empire, I think.
It was pretty unanimous, if I recall.
I can't remember what you remember what the other 2 are.
I can't remember for the life of me.
I don't remember what they were. Yeah. I feel like they were good names too, though. I feel like I was like, I'm not mad at any of those.
Yeah, we were in the same situation. That's kind of why we asked, because we were all torn about it. We were kind of like, and I mean, we had logo ideas too for the FE, so we were kind of like.
I mean, you're telling me you Merch City over here. You got the wristbands and the shirts. I'm wearing the shirt.
Yeah.
So it just works.
Yeah. No, it's definitely worked out for us for sure.
Absolutely. Funniest thing was when I was wearing the shirt when I went to a WWE wrestling event, and I walked by this lady. She's like, 4 Second Empire. Because I had people ask about it, and I'm like, yeah, they're a band. She's like, oh, I know who they are. She's like, how do you know them? And I was like.
Just at the guitar
so I kind of like explained. Yeah, I'm the guitar tech. And she's like, oh, like I can't remember how she said she knew you guys, but I was like, oh, cool. You know. So then, like, of course, someone else was like, oh, like who's 4 Second Empire? What's this? Like, I had all these people asking. And I'm like,
I'm a walking billboard.
I'm a walking billboard for 4 Second Empire. All right, guys, just want to take a quick second here to give a big shout out to the first ever sponsor and big time supporter of the Harder Show, my man, Mr. Jason Reese over at Jaybird Digital Arts. Now, what exactly does Jason do? Well, if you guys need any kind of logos, t-shirts, posters, album design, tickets, photo manipulation, you guys still with me? Advertising, business stationery, mailers, brochures, fine art, and literally anything else you can think of, Jaybird Digital Arts can create it. No project is just a generic template, and every single job is a new opportunity to create something unique. Jason's done all the Harder Show logos, t-shirts, banners, and even a meme here and there, so I can promise you that you will love and be inspired by what Jason comes up with. You can find him on the web at www.jaybird, that's Jaybird, digitalarts.com. Or you can find him on Facebook under the Jaybird Digital Arts handle, as well as on Instagram. If you happen to use his services, be sure to let him know that TJ sent you. But talking about like 4 Second Empire and all that kind of thing, do you remember your guys' first show and kind of how that went and anything funny that happened or anything like that?
For sure. Our first show was at Wasted Space. As many bands around here, first shows are generally there. Cool, tiny venue. We played with, I think it was Crane, Whales and Bishops, and...
R.I.P. Wab. Yeah. Shout out to Crane.
And someone else. It's the all-girls band. What's their...
Oh my God. I'm not going to remember.
I should.
I'm not going to remember.
I know. I should know
Lucy and the Chain Gang?
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Lucy and the Chain Gang. Shout out to them.
Yeah, and that was our first show. We were pretty. I gotta be honest. We were pretty intimidated walking in there because we hadn't been in there before. Yeah. So I mean, a lot of seeing people in there, and it's kind of like, man, we feel so normal.
It's like, okay.
But yeah, we had a really, really good first impression, which surprised a lot of us. We were expecting some of our punk stuff to be the more popular, but we played a punk cover of Ain't No Rest for the Wicked. That was hugely popular. People were losing it when we played that. Like, we were talking to a lot of people after the show, and they're like, this is the most packed we've seen this place since like Out of My League's been here. And we're like,
yeah,
cool.
Like, damn, nice.
Cool, cool on us.
So what you're saying is we're better than Out of My League. No.
Shots fired.
Shots fired at Out of My League. Shots fired at Umo from the Harder Show. No. Can you imagine? Like I'm Dom or Ali or someone. They're just sitting on Facebook. You know, It's like a clip dislike. It's like a clip from something like TJ talks shit about Out of My League on the Harder Show. You just see them just like delete.
just
they just see it. They're just
straight
like
face.
Huh. Just like delete. That's it. They just move on with their lives. It's like no, nothing but love for Umo on the Harder Show, as you guys know.
100%.
Hundo
potato.
But so it went good, basically, is what you're saying.
It went very well. I'm trying to think if there's anything funny. I think the only sort of funny kind of thing that sort of happened from there was there's a song that we played that involved two people switching guitars. Mm-hmm. So it was Chase and Evan had to flop guitars to a different alternate tuning. Mm-hmm. And so for some reason, I ended up getting done way before they did. I don't know why. And I didn't hear, because apparently they claimed they were telling me they were having technical difficulties, which I did not hear them say this at the time. So I just started playing this song. And it's thank God, it was Weezer, Say It Ain't So.
Okay.
And so it's pretty much an only one guitar, one vocalist for the first section of that song. But Evan was a little ticked off because it was like the one song that he was going to be doing. And so I couldn't figure out, when I started playing it, I couldn't figure out why he wasn't like starting to sing it. So I just kind of stepped in and started singing it, and he was just like, just pissed off at me.
Mother trucker.
Actually, that brings up a funny story. Okay, so the day before this show, we spent the night over at Derek's place, and just for like, just chill out and whatever. We watched like Anchorman and played video games and stuff. We played like N64. It was fun.
Nice.
It was good. But anyway, we had a practice at my house before we left to go to Derek's house. So it was the last practice we were having before this show. Evan didn't show up, and we couldn't figure out why.
Oh, God.
We were texting him, we were calling him, he just wouldn't pick up, wouldn't answer, and Evan is going to kill me for me saying this, but God. It's going to be, it's hilarious.
It's exclusive here on the show.
Red carpet right here. So eventually we got a hold of Evan, and we're like, bro, where are you? He's like, I'm out buying clothes for tomorrow. Why? We're all sitting here like, we're talking practice, like we're having a practice right now, and he was the one who suggested the idea we have a practice, and he suggested the time, and I suggested the place, and we had all that. He went out to get clothes instead of going to the practice.
He had to look fresh for the show. I mean,
it's the one thing we've had against him for this whole
instead
time.
of going to practice, he went out and bought
clothes for the show the next day.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I get it, because I'd probably do the same thing. But
I mean, he had the rest of the day to do it, other than the 3 hours of practice.
3 hours of practice you guys wanted to get in. Oh boy!
And I mean, because of the last practice before our first show, it was kind of like,
we should probably be practicing right now, guys. Let's practice.
It was funny though. It was good.
So you guys played some good shows in that, but when I saw you guys play for the first time was at the this past Battle of the Bands. With that, I was a judge, unfortunately. The legendary Battle of the Bands. You guys killed it. You guys were awesome.
Went better than it should have.
And the thing is like, you guys were like the top 10. I'm pretty
we were third.
Sure. You were top 5. Holy shit! Yes, that's right.
We got third place.
Yeah, and like everyone was like, whoa, like
yeah, we were right out of nowhere. Like it was Beyond the Wall came first. Fear of the Unknown was second, and we were third. I can't remember exactly what you guys were saying, but like if we had originals, we would have been pretty close
basically
to Fear of the Unknown.
From what I was, because I was in the debating.
Yeah.
Not much debating happened. We were like, yeah, these people were the best. All right, cool. Because I walked in and I was like, listen, these bands and all the bands that placed, it just so happens that like they were people I
know these people.
Like it just so happens that I know these. Of course, like so everyone like had the names of everyone, and I'm like, okay, yeah.
It's like, all right, I feel better now.
Probably shouldn't say that on the podcast or whatever.
I think you had that conversation.
Yeah,
already,
that's why I'm not gonna be a judge ever again. It was too hard on me. Because like I have all these people like messaging me afterwards, and they're like, why didn't we place? Like, can you give us any pointers? And I'm like, I'm the last person who should be judging anybody on their musical talents. They're like, yeah, I didn't really feel that chord progression there, and I'm like, yes, quite. Like,
yes, of course.
I'm just like, yes, of course, absolutely. I did my beard, so I had to stroke my little soul patch at the time. But yes, I personally believe that scale didn't work over that chord progression. Like, just didn't work there. But anyway, so you guys have played, and how was playing the Battle of the Bands that night? Like, I mean, it was a great crowd. Everyone was very involved.
It was an awesome experience. I mean, we were really hoping to be playing later on in that day, because I mean, people come in the later it is.
People come later. Yeah,
I mean, it made total sense. We had been a band for like 4 months or something at that point. And so, I mean, playing like second, I think it was, made 100% total sense. I mean, whoever put the listings, I do not.
I mean, sometimes it's not like they just do it because it's who's available when, who can be here on time, and all that kind of thing. If you're beyond the wall, you know, who's going to just completely mess up the times of the entire show. I didn't even know that until they were on the podcast.
Who was the first band that was playing? It was
oh my god, was it Hometown Heroes?
Yes.
Did they play?
They just didn't show up until like 10 minutes late, something like that.
That was just.
We were freaking out because we're like, there's like no one here yet. We don't want to go now.
Yeah, it was like they're like, you know, where are they? And it was bad.
That was really awkward. But yeah, we were super happy about how our show went, and it was a load of fun. We got really, really good reviews from both the judges and people who were watching.
The judges that mattered.
The one judge that mattered.
The one judge that mattered here, sitting here.
Oh man,
keep putting me over on my podcast.
I'm trying. I'm putting the effort.
Putting in the effort. Just laying on the fucking floor, like
you didn't see him earlier. He's just like dragging his body around.
Yeah, that's what he does.
Really funny.
Talking about Simba here, he's just hanging out on the floor of the Hotter Show studios here. I call this the studio. So you had mentioned to me earlier about how it was so cool that when you guys were playing, because it was the first time in the time that like people were like singing songs to you back to you and stuff, and
the when we played at Wasted Space for our first show, I mean, I'm sure people were singing along and stuff too.
You couldn't hear.
You can't hear in that place. It's just physically impossible. I mean, if anyone knows how that place is shaped, it's like an L, and the band's kind of in the corner, so you really can't hear anything that's going on. There's no monitors. There's no.
It's just the noise is kind of pulled.
Exactly. Yeah. So you literally can't hear anything in your corner. But yeah, so when we played Battle of the Bands, that was our second show we'd ever played as a band. And it was kind of a whole different stage from our first show.
Like
so
a full room
big
stage.
Big difference. And we, it's, as the judges said, including yourself, on our card or whatever, was that, the biggest thing about you guys was that you looked like you were enjoying yourselves.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, we were, of course, we're going to look like we're enjoying ourselves, having a great time here. And so, no, that was an amazing time for us.
It was contagious. Like, it was like, it made us smile. We're like, oh, this is great.
We were smiling, we were jumping around, and then once people were like, oh, these guys are jumping around, let's jump around.
Yeah, let's jump around and have fun.
So it was really, really fun to do that, and to see just how, you do, as me being, I guess, the front man, if you will, you do one or two things. You can get the entire crowd to do it with you.
Absolutely.
I don't know if
some people can, but some people can't.
Some people can't. Yeah. You have to be in the right spot to kind of do that. You can't just be like, everyone hates me. Come on, everyone.
Come on, everybody. Let's jump.
Let's jump together.
It's like jump off the stage.
I love when you move away from the microphone. Jump off the stage.
Jump off the stage. You suck. I'm a professional broadcaster here.
Who needs artificial reverb? What?
What's artificial reverb?
Good question.
That's a great question. That's like sound effects. I do all my own sound effects as well. But real quick, what was the rig you were using? I know we talked about it earlier.
Yeah, that was definitely interesting for sure. So at the time, I wasn't aware that we were going to be only allowed to use the amps we were given, as opposed to being able to
bring our own
amps.
Yeah,
so I mean, I had a pedal board with me, not for using per se, more as like a cutoff switch than anything else, because I didn't bring the tube amp that I had. I brought my head, which made total sense because they had the cab there. So I was like, all right, I'll just bring my head. Makes total sense. And they're like, oh, you have to use what we supply. All right, it's a better head anyway. It was Marshall, whatever. I'll deal with it.
Yeah.
And so I had been hugely used to using. I have this little, really, really old Ibanez. I think it's called a Crunchy Rhythm pedal. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. It's a tremolo pedal. That's all it is a tremolo pedal. And it's got a volume, a speed, and I think it's like a width or something, or a depth. So that's, how far in and out it's going to go. And so what I did was I turned off the width and the speed completely. So it's literally just almost a bypass at this point, and just cranked the volume on it. So it's literally a clean boost signal now. That's exactly what it was. It's sort of emulating a tube screamer with a different circuit, I guess. And the first time I did that, the sound is like stupid good for some reason, and I can't figure out why. Because I literally just got a tube screamer. Like I got one of the new, like the actual Ibanez.
Yeah, the little one. Yeah.
And I'm side by side of them, and I will be totally comfortable using either or. And in some situations, I almost prefer the fake one.
Yeah, just for some reason,
it's got this incredibly good sound when it's pushing a tube amp, and I can't figure out why.
Sometimes, man, you just never know. Like there's Kirk Winstead from Crowbar. His thing is, he plays a friggin' solid state Randall head that's worth like $300, and he puts in front of it, no matter what he's playing, he puts a friggin' Metal Zone in front of it.
Yeah, it's like an RG series.
Yeah, it's the RG like 300.
Yeah.
And he'll take that and he'll push it with his Metal Zone. He'll set the EQ at 12, turn the distortion off, turn the level at 10. Yeah. And he gets this tone. It doesn't matter what guitar he plays, because everyone's like, oh, well, he's playing like $1,000 guitars. No, he's playing like LTD 400 series Vipers, and he's playing an Ibanez Korean-made like Paul Stanley model and like Destroyers and stuff. And he's getting this tone that sounds like 7 guitars. And it's like he's using a friggin' like his gear costs like $500. What the hell? Even the cabs and stuff, like they're not even that expensive. Yeah. Like it's just
they're probably just the stock Randalls.
With like the Jaguar speakers in them, and like they're just these crappy speakers. But I thought that was interesting when you were telling me. You're like, because you would tell me at the show that you're going like,
I can't remember what brought that up, because I think you asked me something about like, oh yeah, your tone was really good.
Your tone's like really, really good. And you're like,
yeah, thanks. I mean, I did a thing. I didn't know if it would work, but it worked.
I did a thing. What's this thing? Well,
let me tell you about
this thing.
Really old rhythm pedal.
That apparently sounds really good. Yeah. How's playing Ribfest?
Ribfest was cool. Again, about the whole, the playing later thing. I wish we could have played later than we did. Cause we're in a huge amount of people there, but still, coolest stage we've ever played on, easily Ribfest, because that's almost like the stage itself is almost Warped Tour style in the sense that it's like it's full blown. It's
a full blown stage. Like they go all out for it.
Transport stage, yeah, it's all out. And honestly, it was just so much fun to be able to play in that environment, and an actual open air show was cool because you can just go as loud as you want, no one cares.
Absolutely.
Having a merch table and everything was kind of cool too. That was the first show we had a merch table for, which actually did surprisingly well, seeing as no one really knew us.
Well, it's sweet though. Like I heard a lot of reviews after the fact from just like on Facebook and stuff, and I'd walking around Ribfest listening to people. Like a couple people mentioned that band that played earlier was really good, and I'm like, slowly turn at them with the shirt, and they're like, yo, that's the band that played, and I'm like, buy their shit. Representing. But what would you say has been kind of like you guys' favorite show so far that you guys have played?
Favorite show so far, probably the Battle of the Bands, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just because you've got all the bands there who they've actually made a name for themselves, which helps bring people out, and you get to see other bands that have different talents, different.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Everyone's so nice in the scene here, like it's unbelievable.
The scene is really great, and I mean like, as little tiny bit and part that I've seen and kind of been a part of in the littlest, tiniest little way, it's always been just this great support. And yeah, the bands will like break each other's balls and stuff like that, but that's normal.
That's just
you guys gonna go see Out of My League tonight? Pfft, I don't know why. I don't know why you bother. Like just or like, oh, you guys are gonna go see like I think it was Mav telling me a story of like he's talking to like Evan in class or something one time, and he's like, yo, bro, what's your band name again? Like, Crown the Empire? Like, no, Forsaken Empire. Oh, well, Crown the Empire, pretty sick. Like, just like kind of breaking his balls about it. And I'm like,
just the sarcastic, like brutal.
Oh,
for sure.
Because that's what they all do. And like, at first I was like, yo, like, what?
Yeah, like Emilio and I, that's pretty much like our friendship in a nutshell. Except now it's kind of turned into more. We're just sort of destroying each other's lives with our bands. Like, don't check these guys out. They're just trash.
Stop This Train is probably the worst band I've ever heard.
We'll like start this train.
Well, like start this. No, I'm obviously joking. They're like ridiculously talented.
They're incredibly good.
As is Forsaken Empire, as is Out of My League, as
everyone's
Fairly Unknown.
We all have a huge respect for each other. We just scream with each other.
It's funny. Yeah. I try not to anymore because I think I talked like mad crap one time about Mav and like Fear the Unknown one time, and someone took it very seriously.
Oh, that's rough.
And I felt like the worst person on the face of the earth. So I'm always joking. I got love for everybody. But kind of moving on from that, what do you remember the first time you guys like wrote like an original together?
To be perfectly honest, pretty recently, in the sense that it's, well, that's kind of lying. Are you considering original to be like just riffing?
Just literally like you're like, yo, like check out this riff, yo, let's put drums over it and just see what happens.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, I can't remember if I sent that to you or not, but that first recording that we did,
the one
that was the first one that we wrote.
Oh wow.
Ever. Which it wasn't really, didn't have a lot to it.
It was like power chord riffs
with some octaving and stuff like that, but we were just fooling around or something. Someone was like taking a drink and eating, and one of us was just on a guitar and just kind of play something. It's like, that's kind of cool. Why don't you do a thing? It was like, okay.
Why don't you do a thing on the top of this thing?
Basically, it just sort of progressed into some vague version of a song that was potentially usable, which we haven't really looked at since. But
it's there, and it's a cool like power chord type deal, and it's got some movement, and it not necessarily Green Day-y in a bad way, but like it's kind of got a vibe
it's got the vibe for sure.
Yeah. That kind of punk, when I think of like punk rock kind of deal, that's kind of what I think of, and it's cool. How's kind of like overall now, kind of getting into like the EP and the writing process, that kind of thing. Finally, after like 15 minutes, I'm finally talking about this. This is what happens when you're having fun, folks. How has that all kind of been going?
It's been definitely picking up pace now. We took a long time to kind of get started with it. I mean, we played around with getting started in the sense that we'd play a riff, we'd write like half a song or something like that, and be like, oh, this is cool, we'll have to remember this, and just forgot about it by the next time we played. And that sort of process kept on repeating, and then we eventually had that one song that I was just talking about, and we're like, oh, okay, we gotta start writing some lyrics for this. Just kind of didn't happen. Yeah, I mean, like I got like choruses and a verse done or something like that, and I liked the choruses, but wasn't a huge fan of the verses, and I just never really continued it, I suppose. And but we finally got one that's like 100% done.
Hundo
potato finito.
Hundo potato finito.
And we so that one's going into recording process soon. Well, more like demo, and then we'll find someone to actually do a professional version of it later.
And then
and but no, we're definitely getting into learning how we're writing things as a band now.
How you guys work, how the dynamics are, and
how to go through it.
So how pumped are you at this point now? Like to just record these songs, get them out there, and be like, "Here is Forsaken Empire. Here you go."
I honestly feel more nervous than pumped about anything, despite the fact we only have like minimal amount done. Reason being, I've never really showed any of our, well, I say our, but my personal writing. I've never showed. I'm sure the same thing with them, as they haven't showed any of their writing off. So, as the music community can be pretty harsh.
Yeah.
So you never know, because your opinion can be one thing, but everyone else's could be something else.
Yeah.
So like you're always worried about how that's gonna kind of go over. And I mean, I feel like I shouldn't be, because I'm pretty relatively confident in myself.
It's gonna be. Yeah. It's okay to be a little.
Exactly.
Like, Out of My League and Dom and I talk about Recover again. Like, they were like, "Yo, like, we don't know how this is going to go over." Like, and like,
it was awesome. It was so
amazing.
Good.
So they're like, "Oh wow, we were worried about nothing."
Yeah.
But it's just like, I think that's a healthy thing to kind of almost obsess over. Like, oh, like I don't know how this is going to go.
Exactly.
Especially when we were talking about like personal lyrics and that kind of thing. Like, I think it's definitely more a healthy thing to do. We'll definitely have you back on.
Once
you guys have some stuff out, like I definitely talked a little bit more in depth about
for sure
the EP and the recording process and that. But you've kind of been getting into the more production and recording side, and you're going to school for it and stuff now. When did you kind of get into that more seriously and get into it at all?
In my grade 9, I think it was my tech class. Actually, it was like a construction class or something like that. I was always listening to music. Always had headphones in, and my teacher, Mr. Welch, who was probably my favorite teacher from high school. was just like, we have a studio in the school, right? And I was like, really? That's pretty cool. I had no idea I'd be into it yet. It's like, yeah, I could show you you later if you want. I was like, all right, yeah, sure. That year I only got kind of showed it. I didn't really touch it much, but it was cool. And the next year I was in a communications class with Chase, actually. And we decided, okay, we want to try this production thing. We want to try this audio production thing. And we were the only two in the entire school who were in that studio all the time. Like, once we were in there once or twice. That's the only place we were when we were somewhere.
Dude, if my school had a studio when I was in high schotle, I would never leave.
It was awesome. It was really, really cool. And I learned a lot from just playing around in there. Like, none of the teachers knew anything about audio production. Like, that wasn't even part of the course, really.
It was kind of like, hey, here's a studio.
So yeah, Mr. Welch, because he had the kind of understanding and the respect for, you're going to do more work if you enjoy what you're doing. And seeing as it's a communication, it's a communications technology course, if people can choose in between Photoshop and video editing, heck, why can't you do audio? So
exactly.
That was his thinking behind it. And he was like, all right, if you guys want to, if that's where you want to spend your time, as long as you're spending time there and working at it,
doing stuff,
then do it.
Yeah, by all means, that's awesome.
Yeah, and so we did that, and our first recording was Jolene by the White Stripes cover of it.
I forgot about that in the last podcast, because that was like a video thing you guys had done.
That was our final project for our grade 10 year, which went pretty well. I'd say for my first ever sort of real kind of recording. Looking back on it, I did it so sketchily. Like, it's unbelievable the way I did it.
Well, I even remember like the video, like had the camera, you like looking at, you like put it on the end of your guitar, and you like do.
I had the GoPro on the guitar. Yeah. Oh, actually, funny story about that GoPro.
Oh God,
we didn't have a clamp for it. We didn't have one of those headstock clamps. So what we did was we took a block or two of wood from the workshop at our school and duct taped it to the headstock. Wow. And duct taped the GoPro to the top of these blocks of wood.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
And hey, it worked. It worked 100%.
You gotta do hundo potato, man.
You gotta go hundo potato,
bro. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Exactly. And it worked out. I mean, it wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
It wasn't great either, but I mean, it wasn't terrible for sure.
Yeah, you've had some interesting videos too that has happened like that. And then the was it the song that huge one you guys had with like over thousands of views?
Oh, that was Brittany and I.
Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, my girlfriend Brittany. Hi, shout out, love you.
Shout out.
Anyway, she sings and I play guitar, and we've always sort of shared an enjoyment for just doing that and playing and singing. It's fun. And so Bring Me the Horizon wrote a song, Sleepwalking, which we've both always really, really liked. And so we were listening to covers of it one day. I think it was at school or something like that. And we found an acoustic one. We're like, oh, this is kind of cool. And so I ended up learning it and showed her. He's like, oh, this is pretty cool. So we both ended up playing it. And I went to, I think it was a Christmas party at her grandfather's house. That's where that one was recorded. He's got like a whole stage in his basement.
Oh.
And it was cool because none of her family had met me yet. So I was at this Christmas party, and her grandfather's like a huge guitar player, does recording, this and this and this. And so we were just like watching him play, and apparently it's sort of a family tradition for them to play and sing stuff. And I'm just kind of sitting in the background, and she's just sort of looking at me. I'm like, what do you want? and then somehow it gets out that I play guitar and sing, and then so I started jamming out with her grandfather for like 3 hours in the basement while everyone else is having Christmas upstairs.
No, well, there you go.
We're just playing music in the basement, and eventually it was just Brittany and I down there, and we sort of played that song. We're like, that sounded pretty darn good. Recorded it literally just on her iPhone, and uploaded it, and it got like 11,000 views.
Yeah,
or
it's
something
ridiculous.
Like
I saw that, and I was like, this is great. Like, I mean, like at least 1,000 of those are from me. I've been playing on a repeat because I liked it so much. Because I hadn't heard the original song. Yeah, and I heard that, and I was like, that's great. And it was like such a good like version of it. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, for just an iPhone recording, it
sounded really good. Like, it was really good.
It was pretty good.
Just and it's just funny. Like I like you see this video and it's like, oh, if only upload to YouTube though. Like you would.
I did end up uploading it to YouTube, but I didn't really share it anywhere.
Yeah,
so no one really saw it on
yeah.
YouTube. So it was just kind of on Facebook.
You had like 11,000 views on YouTube. That'd be like ridiculous.
On Facebook it was going. The last time I checked, it was 11,000, and it's still.
It's probably at more now.
Probably more now.
It should be like 1 million views now as we're talking right
now. All right.
Oh, it's at 1 million views. Okay, cool.
That.
Right on.
Yeah, no, that was definitely cool. I mean, we've been talking for a long time about doing like an actual studio version.
You had talked to me about that last time. I think I was talking to you.
Of that song and The Lines by Beartooth. There's an acoustic version of that too, which is really, really good. And we're finally starting.
Oh, right
so
on.
hopefully that'll be a thing soon.
Oh, well, right on. I'll have to play that for you guys when that happens, as long as I don't get flagged. Friggin' YouTube. So, like the production, that kind of thing, and, blah, 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 that kind of fun stuff. I don't know why I just said blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? Blah, 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 all that fun stuff. Would you say that at this point, like, obviously guitar, music, and that kind of thing is a passion, obviously. Would you almost say that you're kind of at the point now where, like, audio production and recording, like, I think it's almost like become like almost another passion of yours in a way? Or?
Easily, for sure. I mean, when it comes to playing in a band, that's a certain set of emotions right there. When you're playing, you're playing on stage, you've got a group of sort of friends that you're writing things with, and they're almost a family in a sense, in a way. When you play enough with them, you write enough with them, you get all this.
Absolutely.
You get a lot of personal stuff going on there. But for me, doing recording is a little bit more of a personal release, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Just because I can take what's sort of in my head, put it somewhere, and be able to fiddle with it. Because what I find, if I'm just playing guitar by myself, I don't find I enjoy it terribly too much as much anymore. But if I'm playing with a band, love it. Favorite thing to do in the world. If I'm playing while I'm recording, same thing. Favorite thing to do in the world. Yeah, it's just if
you're singing at home, playing like along with a song, or whatever. You're just like,
it's just like great. This is
But if you're recording it, it's like yeah,
because I can work on it. I can change stuff. I can I just find there's a whole world of other things you can do, and it's become a huge thing for me to do. Good time waster and money waster.
Absolutely. You're telling me. So how impressed are you with my setup at this point?
Let's put it this way. For what you have, it sounds really good. Yeah. I don't really understand
my cheap Behringer setup, my cheap PV microphones.
I don't know how these microphones sound so solid. Like I don't get it. I just don't understand.
It's just the magic of Harder Show Studios. I don't know what to tell you.
It's the ambience.
It's this kitchen. I don't know what's up with this kitchen and this table. It's the potato, bro. It's the potato. So, kind of getting ready to kind of wrap it up here. What's kind of like at this point your dream rig for guitar? Oh. Like if you could just right now, if you could just snap your fingers and have the rig, what would it be?
Well, that's definitely a thinker. Seeing as a lot of these things I haven't played yet per se, but I mean I've heard, played, and I've seen and are just very well known. I definitely run an LPJ that I have now.
Yes,
which I have now and I'm keeping, so I'm very happy with that. That's the guitar I've wanted for since I played guitar. An LPJ, probably a standard 2. I'd say if I were to have 2, then I'd say the LPJ and a standard, black with gold bindings.
Yeah,
if you're wondering.
Yes. You're more of a single pickup guy, aren't you?
For the most part, I'm a huge fan of the P90s.
Yeah,
that style of tone. But when it comes to humbuckers, definitely sort of like a Seymour Duncan, like an SH6C kind of like that. Not overkill. Yeah,
not like a distortion, not like a Duncan distortion or anything. Like you kind of like a nice clean. Yeah, but at the same time has some balls to it.
Something versatile.
Yeah.
Probably running into some kind of a tube screamer, like an MXR delay, something like that. And I've got the mini wah, which I'm a huge fan of. I love that thing. I would throw that one in there too. And I'd probably run a dual head rig, probably a JCM 800 and. The second cab would be up for grabs.
Potato
amp. The Forsaken Potato.
Forsaken Potato as your main rig.
Yeah, I mean I haven't played around enough with like a 5150 to know if it would fit that kind of style. It's
pretty high game, but
that's what I mean.
I could see you pulling it off.
Is it smooth enough to be able to kind of fit in, or too ballsy? I don't really know. If not, I'd probably go with like an orange, like a Dark Terror or something like that.
Yeah, those are sweet. I was going to ask you your dream rig for production, but I feel like that is a conversation for a whole other time. We'll have you back and we'll talk about all that, because I feel like that's going to be like
that's like 3 hours worth of talking, because you get into outboard gear and mixers and microphones and
we'll have to talk about that another time, and you can maybe give me some pointers for the podcast and that kind of thing. But just kind of getting ready to wrap it up. Is there any shows or anything at all coming up you want to plug? Any
honestly, the only thing that I'm going to plug is the upcoming demos. That's the only thing, because we're waiting to book anything until we have
the demos done,
stuff done and ready to release. That's exactly what's going on right now. So we're not doing anything until something's ready to be shown off and released and ready for the world to see.
Wicked. So when that does, you're going to give
maybe toss out some free copies. We'll see.
Okay. Well, maybe give the Hot Show a little exclusive for a single or something, perhaps.
Potentially.
I appreciate that. I really do. All right. Well, real quick, you want to plug the social medias again real quick here? You got the...
Again, we're Forsaken Empire on Facebook. It's a big, nice stainless steel FE on the picture.
Can't miss it.
Yeah, pretty difficult to miss. Forsaken Empire CA on Instagram and Forsaken Empire on YouTube. So pretty easy to remember. If you can remember our name, then you're pretty set.
And I'll be sure to tag you and everything on this as well. Michael, thanks so much for coming, everybody. This has been a lot of fun.
It's been good.
Definitely we'll have you back on when you guys get some stuff done, and we'll talk about production and that kind of thing.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much, man. We'll talk to you.
Thank you.
All right, gang. So that was my podcast with Michael, my part 2. Really hope you guys enjoyed it. Had a really fun time talking with him on the podcast. Definitely going to have him on again to probably talk production and that kind of thing, because he is kind of like a second passion of his, So definitely very interesting. Love to talk more about that. Hopefully going to be having him on somewhat regularly. I think he was a really good guest. So we'll have to just see what happens, as he is a busy cat, but. Either way, I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Might have to have him and the rest of the Forsaken Empire guys at some point on the podcast as well. I think that'd be a really fun episode. Heading into the new year, there's so much I want to do. So much stuff. It's not even funny. Some of the stuff I have planned is just it's insane, and some of these are almost pipe dream plans in a way. As you guys may or may not know, I've talked about before. I have ideas for website stuff. I've got ideas for freaking multiple other podcasts. I've got ideas for a freaking network, for God's sakes. Lots of fun stuff. I have all these t-shirt design ideas. There's all this stuff I want to do, all in the name of entertaining you and spreading the word of the podcast, and friends of the Harder Show podcast as well. Not just my own podcast, but I think podcasters as a whole. This kind of community of kind of your everyday average Joe podcasters, I kind of call ourselves, the people who aren't necessarily doing it for a living, but they're in it for the long haul. They're in it for the right reasons. They're in it because they love doing it. And, they're just a kind of a lower tier in a way, I guess, kind of the, not a bad way, a lower tier, but like a level like my podcast is on. I'm not getting hundreds and thousands of views here, folks. So, and that's okay. I like where I'm at. I love the community where I'm at. So, shout out to all the everyday podcasters out there in the world. We are all doing this together, and we're still trucking along, doing our thing. But thank you guys again so much for listening. However you did, if you listened on the SoundCloud, be sure to hit the follow button. Keep up with everything that goes on with the Harder Show on the SoundCloud. Hit like on this podcast and comment your life away if there's anything you would like to say. Always open to chat in the comments section. If you are listening on the YouTube, be sure to leave a like and dislike on this video and subscribe to the Harder Show with everything that goes on the YouTube channel. Heading into the new year, definitely want to kind of get more content up on the YouTube channel, maybe do some more live streaming, maybe do some game streaming at some point, maybe, who knows, we'll just have to kind of wait and see what happens. And of course, if you guys are listening on the iTunes, which you guys know is the easiest way to listen to the Harder Show, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't even have to think about it. Every time a new episode is uploaded, it will be downloaded to the device of your choosing. And while you're there, maybe leave the Harder Show a little rating. Perhaps, I really appreciate that. If you do, be sure to comment so I can thank you properly in podcast, because every single person who gives the Harder Show a rating and comments their name, I will definitely give a shout out to in podcast, because I seriously appreciate that. I really, really do. If you're listening some other way, a way I haven't mentioned, if you're listening on an app such as Podcast Addict or Beyond Pod, or there's so many different podcast apps. Those are two I think of off the top of my head, but Google Play or all that kind of stuff. If you're listening, be sure to let me know what you're listening on, just so I know that I know what other mediums the Harder Show is available on, because I always seem to find these random podcast apps, and I'll be like, oh, I should put my show on here, and then I'll be on there already, and I'm like, oh, cool, So it's always a fun surprise when that happens. But if you've had any difficulty finding the Harder Show to listen to on any apps you like or anything like that, be sure to let me know, and I'll see what I can do to make the Harder Show more readily available for you. Even though, I am on 3 different platforms right now. So, I think I'm making myself pretty available. But, I want to do what I can to make sure that people who, for some reason enjoy the show are getting to listen to it however they want and the easiest for them. But all that, I'm going to sign off here, guys. Thank you so much all again for tuning in. Seriously appreciate it. Be sure to check me out on all my social medias. Just search The Harder Show. If you ever have anything you want to say, you can email me at thehardershow@gmail.com. And I will catch you guys next time on The Harder Show. Take it easy.